8 unacceptable women behaviors no man should tolerate. Stoicism, modern Stoic. Love yourself first, and everything else falls into line. Kit component placement, Lucille Ball. You're not here to master the art of impressing women. You're here to master the art of protecting yourself. Because the hard truth is this: too many men accept far more than they should. Not out of weakness, and not because they lack value, but simply because they've never been shown where to draw the line. Today's culture tries to convince men that endurance equals virtue, that if you're patient enough, understanding enough, and self-sacrificing enough, you'll eventually earn love and respect. But Machiavelli would have scoffed at this idea. He understood what most men never do. Patience can be a strength, but when overextended, it becomes self-betrayal, slowly draining your power. This is a wake-up call. It's time to stop sacrificing your worth for the sake of tolerance. It's time to recognize the subtle, often invisible behaviors that quietly chip away at your confidence, not through drama or ego, but with the quiet clarity of a man who knows his value. Here's the brutal truth. A man who tolerates everything will ultimately have nothing. So today, we expose 8 behaviors no man should ever accept from a woman. Not from anger, not from pride, but from a place of unwavering self-respect. Because if you tolerate everything, you risk losing everything. Stay with me until the end. Each point will strengthen your emotional armor. Miss one, and you leave yourself open, vulnerable to the wrong women and invisible to the right ones. Let's get started. On shaming your masculinity. Shaming your masculinity is the quiet, relentless battlefield where modern men are being tested, undermined, and reshaped, often without even realizing it. It's an insidious campaign that moves through the fabric of everyday life, slipping into conversations, glances, social expectations, and cultural narratives. This is no accident. It is a deliberate agenda designed to dilute your strength, confuse your purpose, and recast your natural masculine instincts as problematic or dangerous. You've heard it all before. You're too aggressive. Real men need to be more sensitive. Dominance is toxic. These statements don't come from a place of genuine concern or balanced critique. They are carefully crafted verbal weapons aimed at shaking your foundation. When you exhibit decisive leadership, something inherent to your nature, it's suddenly twisted and reframed as controlling or overbearing. When you speak your mind with conviction, you're labelled as intolerant or rigid. Your strength, your clarity, your ambition, everything that defines your masculinity is recast as a flaw, a danger to be tamed or silenced. This isn't about kindness, empathy, or mutual respect. Those values are noble, but the agenda behind shaming masculinity isn't to promote them. It's to soften your edge, to make you more malleable, easier to influence, and less likely to stand firm. It's about stripping away your ability to lead and to protect what matters to you. Remember the timeless wisdom of Machiavelli, who said that a prince must learn how not to be good when necessary. Virtue, when weaponized against you, becomes a shackle, something that binds your freedom and compromises your ability to act with authority. This isn't about moral perfection or behaving flawlessly. It's about wielding your power with clarity, purpose, and without apology. So hear this clearly. Stop begging for moral approval from those whose aim is to weaken you. Your masculine traits, your leadership, decisiveness, ambition, resilience, are not sins to be repented for or flaws to be fixed. They are the core of your identity and the foundation of your influence in the world. Do not waste your breath trying to explain, justify, or soften these traits for anyone. Instead, live them boldly and authentically. When you lead with calm certainty, respect follows naturally. You don't have to demand it, negotiate it, or apologize for it. The great philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche nailed it when he said, "The doer alone learneth." This isn't a call for compromise or dilution. It's a command to own your essence fully and unapologetically, in a world desperate to diminish it. Your strength is not toxic. It is essential. It is the fire that fuels progress, the shield that protects your values, and the force that commands genuine respect. Do not apologize for it. Do not dilute it. Stand firm in the face of cultural pressure to conform or fade into obscurity. Take this as your mission. Claim your masculinity with unyielding confidence. Live it every day without hesitation or shame. When you do, watch how the world bends to acknowledge the force of your true self. For every man who feels the pressure to shrink, soften, or hide, know this: you have the power to break these chains. If you're ready to rise, to reclaim what is rightfully yours, declare it. Comment below with, "I own my power." Like, share, and subscribe to join a movement of men who refuse to be silenced or softened by the narratives designed to erase their strength. This is not mere advice, it's a directive. You will dominate your life, or someone else will do it for you. The choice is yours. Make no mistake, your masculinity is your weapon. Wield it with mastery. Command with it. Own it. 2. Weaponizing silence for control. Silence is one of the deadliest weapons a woman can wield, and every man who respects himself must recognize this truth without hesitation. Silence can heal, yes, but in the wrong hands, it's not a balm. It's a leash wrapped tightly around your freedom, a trap laid to control your mind and your emotions. When she ignores your calls, withdraws affection, or freezes you out after even the smallest disagreement, she is not seeking peace or resolution. She is pulling strings. She is testing boundaries. You speak your truth, express a need or a concern, and then the silence drops like a shadow. Thick, suffocating, calculated. You wait. The tension mounts. Your heart pounds in anticipation. She knows you'll crack first, and history proves it. You always do. That's the problem, and it's the trap. The great Niccolo Machiavelli warned us to be both fox and lion, cunning enough to recognize traps and fierce enough to terrify wolves. Silence? That's her trap. Don't walk into it blindly. A man who chases after silence is a man who loses his power. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe apologies. You don't chase shadows. Your power move is simple and brutal. Respond once with sharp clarity. No emotion. No desperation. Then detach. Withdraw your energy. Shift your focus to your goals, your ambitions, your growth. Let her feel the void your absence creates, the unmistakable truth that you will not be controlled or diminished. This is the mindset that breaks the leash. This is the mentality of a man who becomes untouchable. When you refuse to bow to emotional manipulation, you command respect by default. As the Stoics teach, your power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." How you respond to silence defines your strength, your sovereignty. React with mastery, cold, calm, unyielding. Let no woman's silence fracture your foundation. Don't tolerate this behavior. It is unacceptable. Your time, your energy, and your dignity are not bargaining chips. You must set this boundary fiercely. This is not just advice. It's a directive from experience. If you want respect, you must demand it. If you want peace, you must protect it. Stand firm like the lion Machiavelli praised. Be the fox who sees the trap, the lion who destroys it. In modern life, distractions and emotional games are everywhere. But the man who conquers these traps wins freedom, real freedom. So stop giving away your power in silence. Own your worth, own your presence, own your silence. That silence will speak louder than any words. Like if you're ready to stop being manipulated. Comment on your story of standing your ground. Subscribe to learn how to live with unbreakable will and unstoppable force. Don't be the man who breaks under silence. Be the man who commands it, who uses it as armor, who walks away with his head high and his spirit undefeated. The leash is in your hands, break it. 3. Disrespect disguised as jokes. Disrespect is rarely loud or obvious at first. It starts quietly, often disguised as harmless jokes or casual digs aimed at testing the limits of your self-respect. Imagine this scenario. You're on a date, and she flashes a smile as she says, "Wow, you're shorter than I expected. Cute, though." Most men respond with a laugh. convincing themselves that staying calm means accepting it. But what's really happening here is far more serious. She's probing your boundaries, looking to see if you will let that slight slide. Niccolò Machiavelli warned, injuries must be inflicted at once so that their effect is minimized. The wisdom behind this is clear. The moment you allow the first act of disrespect to go unanswered, you invite many more to follow. This is the battlefield where modern stoicism and self-mastery come into play. Your power is not in how loud you can shout or how sharp your retort is, but in how composed and unshaken you remain when faced with subtle disrespect. Your response must be calm, direct, and firm. Do not joke back or escalate the tension. Instead, simply say, "I don't joke about respect." Then smoothly change the subject without any hint of anger or drama. This is not weakness disguised as patience. It is a demonstration of strength and control. In that moment, you show that you respect yourself first and foremost. You set a boundary so clear that it requires no argument or debate. This is the essence of commanding respect rather than chasing after validation. In a world where social interactions often blur the lines between teasing and disrespect, where many confuse tolerance for weakness, you must be the man who knows his worth and protects it fiercely. This principle extends far beyond dating. Whether at work, among friends, or within your family, allowing even small acts of disrespect is the first step toward eroding your authority and self-esteem. Remember, respect is not given freely. It is earned and commanded by the man who refuses to accept less. By holding your ground calmly and decisively, you send a powerful message that you will not be undermined or diminished. Your presence alone becomes a statement of strength. Do not be fooled into thinking that ignoring these small slights is a way to keep peace or appear cool. Peace without respect is a false peace, and coolness gained by silence is nothing but concession. Instead, take control of the situation by making your boundaries known firmly but without drama. This is modern stoicism in action, a philosophy of strength, presence, and unshakable self-worth in a world that constantly tests you. The advice is simple but critical. Never tolerate disrespect disguised as jokes or casual insults. Stand tall, stay calm, and make it known that respect is non-negotiable. In doing so, you reclaim your power and teach those around you the value of your presence. This is how a man commands respect in every aspect of his life, not by forcing it, but by embodying it consistently and without apology. If you're done letting disrespect slide disguised as jokes, it's time to take a stand. Real strength isn't about shouting louder, it's about holding your ground calmly and firmly, making clear that respect is non-negotiable. Remember Machiavelli's wisdom. Injuries must be inflicted at once to minimize their effect. Don't wait for disrespect to pile up. Set your boundaries now with quiet confidence and unwavering clarity. Comment below with this statement if you're ready to stop tolerating disrespect and start commanding the respect you deserve. I hold my ground calmly and demand respect without apology. 4. Testing boundaries through innocent disrespect. Testing boundaries through subtle, quiet disrespect is one of the most overlooked yet damaging behaviors a man can tolerate, especially when it comes from a woman he values. Many women won't challenge your strength or frame with outright confrontation. Instead, they probe with small, deliberate actions, a late arrival without explanation, interrupting you mid-sentence, cancelling plans without a word of apology. These are not accidents. They are calculated moves to gauge your reaction, to see if you have clear, unyielding boundaries, or if you will simply bend and accommodate. Picture this. On a first date, she arrives 30 minutes late with no excuse and no apology. The instinct for many men is to remain calm, to not make a scene, to appear patient and understanding. This is a mistake, a costly one. Every tolerated slight, every dismissed disrespect, chips away at your authority and teaches her that your limits are flexible, that you have no firm lines she cannot cross. Niccolò Machiavelli once said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved if one cannot be both." This fear isn't about intimidation or anger, It's about cultivating an aura of unshakable standards that commands respect. When you hold your frame, do it with calm confidence, no long lectures, no ego-fueled anger, no emotional outbursts. Simply say, noted. This word, simple yet powerful, signals clarity and control. It means you see the disrespect, you acknowledge it, but you do not tolerate it. And if it happens again, your response must be immediate and firm. Withdraw your time, your attention, your energy. Scarcity is the greatest creator of respect. Men who accept every slight and tolerate every breach of respect lose not just their dignity, but the very foundation of their relationships and self-worth. This principle applies far beyond dating. It applies in friendships, work, family, and any interaction where your respect is tested. In real life, boundaries are not suggestions. They are commands. When you allow small slights, you invite larger ones. When you tolerate minor disrespect, you set the stage for major disappointment. Your time and energy are your most precious assets. Invest them wisely, only where you are valued and respected. The modern Stoic knows this well. Emotions are not a weakness to be suppressed, but a tool to maintain clarity and control. Be direct, be decisive, and never let anyone, woman or otherwise, erode your standards. Stand firm, share your experiences and opinions in the comments below. How have you handled moments when your boundaries were tested? Your story can empower others to reclaim their respect and strengthen their frame in a world that constantly tests it. 5. Using emotional highs to cover red flags. Using emotional highs to mask red flags is one of the most subtle and dangerous manipulations a man can endure in a relationship. This emotional rollercoaster, intense bursts of affection followed by sudden coldness or disrespect, is not random or innocent. It's a calculated pattern designed to confuse, control, and ultimately break your resolve. She floods you with love and attention when you meet her expectations, making you feel deeply connected and valued. But the moment you assert a boundary or express discomfort, that affection evaporates, replaced by distance, silence, or even disdain. You quickly realize that love in this relationship is conditional, doled out only when you conform to her wishes. This is not true intimacy or mutual respect. It's training, plain and simple. As Machiavelli famously observed, benefits should be conferred gradually. Injuries should be inflicted at once. Here, the love bombing is the benefit, the silent treatment or emotional withdrawal is the injury, and the sequence is deliberate. This pattern reveals the real game at play, one where affection becomes a tool to manipulate your behavior rather than a genuine expression of connection. To stay in control, you must learn to detach from the emotional highs and lows and focus on the larger pattern. Pay close attention. If her love and warmth only appear when you comply with her demands, you are not experiencing true connection, but control disguised as affection. Your internal compass must be grounded in your own values and standards, not her shifting moods or emotional punishments. Stand firm in your boundaries. Stay calm and composed. This is where your power lives. Remember that emotional manipulation seeks to undermine your confidence and force obedience, but you are not obligated to play by these toxic rules. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let these words guide you. Genuine love respects boundaries, does not punish disagreement, and remains consistent even when challenges arise. In real life, this means you must be vigilant and honest with yourself. Don't confuse affection with control. Don't allow emotional rewards to buy your silence or compliance. Men who have lived enough to understand the cost of tolerance must hold the line. Emotional manipulation chips away at your dignity, self-respect, and ultimately your peace of mind. You must recognize the warning signs and refuse to accept anything less than respect and steady, unconditional connection. Trust is not earned by obedience. It is earned by authenticity and mutual respect. Now, it's your turn. Have you experienced this emotional roller coaster? How did it impact you? What boundaries have you set to protect yourself? Share your personal stories and insights in the comments. Your experience could be the catalyst for someone else's awakening. Together, we build strength and clarity to refuse unacceptable behaviors and demand the respect every man deserves. Comment below. I see the mask and refuse conditional love. 6. Gaslighting your intuition. Gaslighting your intuition is one of the most dangerous behaviors a woman can exhibit because it quietly erodes your sense of self without any dramatic confrontation. It doesn't come crashing down with shouts or obvious accusations. Instead, it seeps in like a slow poison, whispering doubts that make you question everything you know to be true. You're told you're overthinking, too sensitive, or worse, that you're fabricating scenarios in your head. This subtle assault chips away at your confidence until you begin to second-guess your very perceptions. In long-term relationships, this tactic often hides in plain sight. You bring up a valid concern, such as her texting an ex, expecting openness, or at least a conversation. Instead, she sidesteps the issue completely, turning the tables by accusing you of insecurity. Suddenly, the discussion is no longer about her behavior, but about your flaws. You're dragged into a defensive corner, forced to protect your sanity rather than holding her accountable for her actions. This is the essence of classic deflection, a strategic avoidance of responsibility. Machiavelli's reminder that the vulgar crowd is always taken by appearances rings true here. When your clarity threatens control, it must be undermined by attacking your perception of a reality. Gaslighting targets your intuition because your awareness is a threat to manipulation. The more certain you are of what you feel and observe, the less control she has. The way to remain untouchable in this dynamic is clear and uncompromising. Do not debate feelings, because feelings are subjective and easily twisted. Do not seek validation or permission to trust your own instincts. That is giving away your power. Instead, anchor yourself in facts, concrete, undeniable truths that cannot be disputed or denied. State your boundaries with quiet strength and unwavering resolve. Hold firm without anger, without pleading, without wavering. A man rooted in his own mind and perception cannot be shaken by emotional manipulation or psychological games. This is modern Stoicism in action, composure under pressure, clarity amidst chaos, and strength through self-possession. In today's world, where emotional manipulation can be subtle and cloaked in love or concern, your mental fortitude is your greatest armor. When you trust your instincts and refuse to let anyone gaslight your reality, you reclaim control of your narrative and command respect. Never forget, your clarity is your power. Stand firm in it. Don't allow anyone to rewrite your truth or dim the light of your own intuition. That is the line no man should ever allow to be crossed. Comment below. I trust my instincts and hold my truth without compromise. 7. Emotional manipulation through guilt. Emotional manipulation through guilt is one of the most subtle yet devastating tactics a woman can use, and it is absolutely unacceptable for any man to tolerate this behavior. Guilt does not come with loud commands or threats. Instead, it quietly seeps into your mind and makes you question your own sense of right and wrong. It's the softest but deadliest weapon of control, rather than forcing you to obey. It coerces you into doubting your feelings, making you feel selfish or unreasonable just for standing up for yourself. Imagine this. She cancels plans at the last minute, and naturally you feel annoyed or disappointed. Instead of acknowledging your valid emotions, she flips the script, accusing you of being too sensitive or blowing things out of proportion. Suddenly, the focus shifts from her behavior to your reaction, and you find yourself defending why you feel hurt instead of confronting her for disrespecting your time. This is emotional manipulation at its core, turning your rightful boundaries into weaknesses you must apologize for. Niccolò Machiavelli's wise words ring truer than ever here. A wise prince learns to recognize the noose before he feels the rope. If you are already apologizing for how you feel, that means you have fallen into the trap. Recognizing this is the first step to reclaiming your power. To keep your emotional frame strong and unbreakable, you must never argue about your feelings or allow them to be invalidated. Instead, Set your boundaries clearly and without hesitation. Say something like, "I don't feel bad for respecting my time," and then stop talking. Silence becomes your greatest ally. It shows that you will not engage in the guilt game or be manipulated into second-guessing your emotions. Silence forces reflection and signals strength. If she continues to wield guilt as a weapon, know this: she is not interested in a true partnership based on mutual respect and understanding. Rather, she is testing how much of your sense of self you're willing to surrender, pushing to see how far she can control you. This behavior is toxic and destructive. It is your responsibility to identify it and reject it outright. Stoicism teaches us that we must master our minds and emotions, not be ruled by external forces or other people's manipulations. As Marcus Aurelius profoundly stated, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let this truth anchor you." In real life, this means constantly reminding yourself that your feelings are valid and deserve respect. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for having boundaries or for expecting your time and energy to be valued. If a woman uses guilt to manipulate you, she undermines the very foundation of trust and respect needed for any relationship to thrive. It's not about being harsh or unfeeling. It's about being clear, firm, and unwavering in your self-respect. Don't confuse tolerance with weakness. Standing up to guilt manipulation is a sign of strength, maturity, and wisdom. Real men understand that love and respect are earned through honesty and equality, never through emotional coercion. Your call to action is this: recognize when guilt is being used as a weapon and refuse to participate in the manipulation. Build your emotional fortress with firm boundaries and self-awareness. Share your personal experiences in the comments below. Have you encountered emotional manipulation through guilt? How did you handle it? Your story could inspire others to break free from toxic cycles and reclaim their power. Remember, no man should accept behavior that chips away at his dignity. Stand firm, respect yourself fiercely, and never apologize for protecting your own peace. 8. Punishing you for having a life outside of her. Some women will punish you for having a life outside of her, and make no mistake, this is a line no man with self-respect and ambition should ever allow to be crossed. A healthy relationship is built on a foundation of individuality, mutual respect, and support for each other's missions, friendships, and passions. Yet, some women will not fight openly, but will use guilt trips, passive aggression, and subtle sabotage to pull you off your path. You cancel a casual night out to focus on a major project, and suddenly she accuses you of caring more about work than love. This is not about love. It's about control, jealousy, and the desperate attempt to keep you tethered and dependent. Machiavelli, the master of political strategy, would smirk at this illusion. Men judge more by the eye than by the hand. She reacts to how things feel, not to what is true. Perception becomes her weapon, a smokescreen to trap you in doubt and confusion, to destabilize your focus and confidence. This is psychological warfare disguised as affection. Here is your command, your armor. Stay calm, stay unmoved. Never apologize for your mission, your purpose, or your commitments. Declare it clearly and without hesitation. My mission is non-negotiable. You're welcome to be part of it, but never instead of it. Because the man who stands firm, loyal to his path, becomes untouchable, not through arrogance, but through unwavering alignment with his purpose. That is true power. That is respect earned, without begging or bargaining. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When you own your path and your priorities, no external manipulation can divert or defeat you. Modern Stoicism teaches that your inner fortress, the control over your own mind and emotions, is invincible to external chaos. So, embrace your mission. Demand respect for your time, your energy, and your vision. Reject any behavior that punishes your growth or punishes your individuality. A woman who cannot honor your autonomy is a chain, not a partner. Do not tolerate subtle sabotage masquerading as love. Do not accept guilt as a weapon. Be the man who commands his life, defines his worth, and never relinquishes control over his destiny. This is not just advice, it is an order. Do not settle for anything less than respect, loyalty, and partnership in your highest form. Like this, if you refuse to be controlled by emotional manipulation, comment with one word: unbreakable. And subscribe now for more truths that will set you free and make you master of your life. Remember, the moment you waver or apologize for your priorities, you lose. Stand firm. Own your power. That is how legends are made. If you're still here reading, you've already done what most men never do. You've cut through the noise and distractions to focus on what truly transforms a man's life. That alone sets you apart. But now, pay close attention, because what you're about to hear isn't just advice. It's a reflection, a mirror held up to your soul. Let it sink in deeply, and it will reshape how you see yourself, how you move through the world, and how the world responds to you. This is where real change begins. Most men miss this moment until it's too late. Every boundary you fail to draw is a silent lesson she teaches you, not with loud confrontations or cruelty, but through subtle, almost invisible patterns that chip away at your dignity piece by piece. It's not a slap in the face. It's a whispered erosion, a disrespectful comment ignored, a manipulation overlooked, a need suppressed to avoid conflict. Each time you let these slide, don't fool yourself, you're not showing patience or nobility. You're being trained, tamed, diminished. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He saw that power rarely falls through violent conquest, but more often slips away through small, unnoticed concessions, through the habits of self-betrayal. His writings were never about oppressing others, but about recognizing when you're quietly conquered, not by armies, but by your own blindness. The woman testing your limits isn't your enemy. She's seeking clarity. She wants a man who knows exactly where he stands, who doesn't flinch, who commands respect simply by existing. Because in nature, softness without structure earns no respect, not in politics, not in war, and certainly not in relationships. Machiavelli's deepest lesson was never about domination. It was about vision, knowing your ground and never bargaining away that foundation. The man who holds clarity cannot be controlled, not by fear, guilt, or subtle manipulations disguised as love. Picture this. A king doesn't lose his crown because an enemy storms his castle. He loses it the moment he forgets to wear it. Enemies don't dethrone him. His own negligence does. And this is what happens to men every day. They lose their sovereignty, not because women are cruel, but because they stop acting like kings. They let small compromises become habits. They trade respect for temporary peace. They let guilt replace clarity. From now on, your path is clear. Draw your lines early, make them sharp, firm, and unapologetic, not with anger, but with calm certainty. Defend them quietly, consistently. You don't need to raise your voice to protect your peace. When necessary, detach. Walk away not to punish, but to preserve yourself. This is not cruelty, it's sovereignty. Sovereignty isn't noise. It's the silent power of a man who has chosen himself regardless of approval. Machiavelli's true gift wasn't teaching men to conquer others, but to stop being conquered by their own weaknesses. A man who knows his worth doesn't fight every battle. He chooses his wars with precision. He understands that not every reaction deserves his energy. Here's the ultimate truth. A woman will mirror the standards you set. If you tolerate disrespect, she'll give you disrespect. If you hold your ground calmly, she will either rise to meet your standard or remove herself. Either way, you win. Because real power is never about controlling her, it's about never needing to. Once you grasp this, you step into a higher category of man, you become untouchable. Not because you fight harder, but because you stop kneeling for things beneath you. This is the Machiavellian way. Sovereignty, clarity, quiet strength. And now, it's yours. Remember, as Theodore Roosevelt said, no man is worth his salt who is not ready at all times to risk his well-being, to risk his body, to risk his life in a great cause. Now, I want to hear from you. What boundaries have you struggled to enforce? And how did it affect your relationships? Share your experiences in the comments and let's grow stronger together. One last message for the man who's truly ready to rise, ready to step away from the noise of the 99% and enter a league of his own. This isn't just another empty promise. What I'm building will shift the very way women see you and, far more importantly, how you see yourself. Stronger, unshakable, unbreakable. The era of tolerating weak, unacceptable behaviours from women, those that drain your power and cloud your purpose, is over. You must demand respect. You must refuse to accept less than you deserve. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This isn't about control. It's about mastery. Mastery over your emotions, your boundaries, your life. Do not fall into the trap of excuses. Do not allow toxic habits to erode your spirit. Stand firm. The modern Stoic does not bend to chaos, but shapes it. The world will test you. Women will test you. Your own doubts will test you. Your response? Command presence. Show that you will not be tolerated to be disrespected. You are the captain of your soul, the ruler of your domain. Let this truth sink deep. No man owes his power to anyone else, and no man should relinquish it for fleeting comfort. This is not arrogance, it's clarity. It's dominance born of wisdom. If this message cuts through your distractions and lights a fire inside, don't keep it locked away. Speak it out. Comment below. Even a few words anchor your new mindset and might ignite the same awakening in another man lost in the fog. Hit that like button. Share this with the brother who needs to hear it now, because hesitation is the enemy of progress. Trust your instinct. It's your strongest compass. Remember, we are all forging minds that don't break, hearts that don't waver, and lives that won't settle. The modern Stoic is a fortress, built not of stone, but of unyielding will and relentless purpose. Join this movement. Own your power. Live on your terms. This is your moment. Don't waste it.